Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're exploring a place that literally looks like it belongs on another planet. We're talking about Lake Natron. It's tucked away in the far north of Tanzania, right up against the Kenyan border. And let me tell you, this is definitely not your typical refreshing swimming hole. If you look at it from above, it's this massive, unbroken sheet of burnt orange and deep crimson, randomly shattered by these stark white and pink crusts of salt. It's mesmerizing. I mean, it has this almost hypnotic alien beauty to it. But as we're about to see, beneath that stunning, mirror-like surface lies an environment so extreme, it's actually incredibly dangerous to even touch.
So let's dive right into it. You've probably heard the viral rumors floating around the internet about a real-life Medusa lake, right? The story goes that this water is so cursed, it turns living creatures into solid stone the second they touch it. This whole myth completely blew up back in 2013. A wildlife photographer named Nick Brandt was documenting the shoreline, and he stumbled onto something seriously eerie. Washed up along the edges, he found these perfectly preserved birds and bats. They were totally calcified. They looked like glassy-eyed, Gothic statues frozen in the exact positions they were in when they died. He even propped them up on branches for his photos, making them look alive but completely petrified. Honestly, it sounds like literal magic straight out of a Greek myth. But the reality behind these haunting images? It's actually grounded in some pretty hardcore, absolutely fascinating science.
That brings us to Section 1, the chemistry behind the kill, and how the lake preserves its victims. We're going to look at the brutal 1-2 chemical punch that makes this extreme environment so completely lethal.
To really get this killer chemistry, we have to trace the journey of the water itself. There are three main steps to this deadly recipe. First up, the lake sits right next to a highly active, totally bizarre volcano called Oldonyo Lengai, which translates from the Maasai language to the Mountain of God. Now, unlike regular volcanoes that spew normal silicate magma, this one erupts a super rare carbonite-type lava. It's absolutely loaded with massive amounts of sodium and potassium carbonates. It's kind of like the Earth is spitting out nature's harshest, most concentrated laundry detergent. Second, for tens of thousands of years, all that ash and those caustic minerals have continuously washed down into the lake basin. And here's the kicker. Lake Natron is what's known as a terminal sink. It's a closed basin. Water flows in from hot springs and small rivers, but nothing flows out. There's literally no escape. Finally, you factor in the extreme evaporation. Out there in the blistering heat of the East African Rift, the water evaporates incredibly fast. Since the water can't drain, it just turns to vapor, leaving all those intense salts and minerals trapped behind, concentrating them more and more every single year.
Okay, so the absolutely crucial thing to understand here is the lake's namesake itself, natron. By definition, natron is a naturally occurring blend of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. If that specific chemical combo sounds oddly familiar, well, that's because it's the exact same substance ancient Egyptians used for mummification. And this lake basin is just utterly saturated with it. So when a creature dies in or near the water, the natron acts as this massive desiccant. It aggressively sucks the moisture right out of the animal's tissue. By completely drying the body out and jacking up the salinity, it totally halts the bacterial decay that would normally cause a body to rot.
Now, when you concentrate that much natron in one place, things get extreme, fast. The water's alkalinity can actually hit a pH of 12. To put that wild number into perspective for you, human skin starts getting irritated at a pH of around 9 or 10. At a pH of 12, you're essentially swimming in pure ammonia or household bleach. Add in the fact that, depending on the season, the shallow water can heat up to a scalding 60 degrees Celsius, that's about 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and you've got a recipe for absolute hostility. Any animal unlucky enough to crash into this water is facing immediate, severe chemical burns to their skin and eyes, right before plunging into a bath of hot bleach.
So let's compare actual petrification with what's really happening at the lake, which is mineral incrustation. True petrification, the kind that makes those solid fossils you see in natural history museums, takes thousands or even millions of years. Minerals gradually seep in and replace biological tissue, molecule by slow molecule, until it actually becomes stone. But that is definitely not what's happening at Lake Natron. Here, it's all about rapid desiccation. The hyperalkaline water sucks the moisture out of the carcass on contact, immediately shutting down any decaying bacteria. Then, as the liquid slowly evaporates in that baking sun, the dissolved sodium carbonate naturally crystallizes. It builds up inside and outside the tissue, forming this hardened, salt-jacketed husk around the animal. So no, it's not stone. It's essentially a mummified salt crust.
Freshwater ecologist David Harper actually sums up this grim reality perfectly. He says,
Elsewhere, a body decomposes quickly, but at the edge of Lake Natron, it becomes encrusted in salt and essentially stays that way indefinitely. So yeah, the lake doesn't magically turn you to stone, it just freezes creatures in their final moments with this brutal, mummifying efficiency, preserving them as a permanent, eerie fixture right there on the shoreline.
Which brings us to Section 2, a surprising sanctuary for life. Because with all that death, scalding water, and highly caustic chemistry, you'd logically think this place is just a total barren wasteland, right? Well, prepare to be surprised, because this hostile lake is actually a deeply vital incubator.
Get this, the numbers behind this sanctuary are just staggering. A massive 75% of the world's entire lesser flamingo population is born right here on the crusted salt flats of Lake Natron. That means only 25% are born anywhere else on the planet. Just think about that for a second. It's this wild, beautiful paradox that 3/4 of these delicate, iconic birds start their lives in a hazardous, bleach-like soup that literally kills almost everything else that touches it.
So how on earth do they even survive? Well, over thousands of years, they've developed some incredible evolutionary adaptations. First off, flamingos have exceptionally tough, almost leathery skin on their legs that's highly resistant to the severe chemical burns of that alkaline water. Second, they have an exclusive, virtually unlimited food supply. They feed on the resilient cyanobacteria and algae that somehow manage to thrive in that crazy mineral-rich brine. And third, and honestly, this is the absolute genius part of nature, that deadly caustic water acts as a massive, natural protective moat. Let's be real, no crocodile or hyena in its right mind is going to wade through a mile of boiling bleach just to grab a snack. The exact same thing that kills other animals gives these flamingos a remarkably safe, predator-free fortress so they can nest completely undisturbed.
And speaking of their food source, that cyanobacteria is exactly what gives the lake its iconic, mesmerizing look. During the dry season, when evaporation hits its peak and causes the salinity to absolutely spike, these salt-loving microorganisms experience some intense chemical stress. And how do they react? By producing striking red and orange pigments as a survival mechanism. It's essentially a massive biological distress signal. But the end result is that it literally paints the shrinking lake in vivid shades of blood and rust. That's what gives it that incredibly eerie, otherworldly color you see from the air.
But hey, it's not just the birds taking advantage of this extreme environment. Evolution always finds a foothold somewhere. In the slightly cooler, shallower hot spring lagoons right at the edges of the lake, there is a species of remarkably tough fish called the alkaline tilapia, and they actually manage to survive there. They eke out this highly precarious boom and bust existence. When the lake expands during the wet season, they venture out to feed. But the second the lake levels drop too low and the brine becomes way too concentrated and deadly, they are forced to retreat rapidly back to cooler, diluted feeder streams.
And that precarious balance brings us to our final section, protecting the blood-red lake. Because despite having these incredibly deadly natural defenses against predators, this delicate ecosystem is currently facing some very serious modern threats.
Conservationists and United Nations agencies are constantly raising major environmental concerns about the lake's future. First up, there are recurring proposals to build large-scale commercial soda ash mining operations along the shores. Why? Because that naturally occurring natron is extremely valuable commercially for making things like glass and detergents. But massive mining operations would severely threaten the natural water levels. Second, any unchecked industrial development could easily disrupt the highly delicate salinity balance that those flamingos entirely rely on for their nesting grounds. If the water chemistry changes too much, the cyanobacteria die and the flamingos starve. And third, of course, we have the growing, unpredictable impacts of global climate change, which is altering regional rainfall. If this unique chemistry is permanently disrupted, it jeopardizes the single most important breeding site the lesser flamingo has left on Earth.
So ultimately, Lake Natron is this delicate, razor-thin balance between lethal and life-sustaining. It occupies a truly strange category in the natural world, right? It's a brutal, completely inhospitable environment that can rapidly mummify an animal on its shores. Yet, at the exact same time, it acts as the safest, most vital bird nursery in all of Africa. That paradox is exactly what makes it so utterly fascinating.
We'll leave you with this final thought to consider. If human activity alters the delicate chemistry of Earth's most extreme lakes, what happens to the life that has spent millions of years evolving to depend on their deadly protection? It really challenges us to think about the fragile, interconnected balance of nature's strangest habitats. Thanks for exploring Lake Natron with us on this explainer. Keep observing, keep questioning, and We'll see you next time.